Hello, everybody. This is Christy Whitman with the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And as you can see, I have a friend with me today. For the past 10 years, James Wedmore have been teaching entrepreneurs and online business owners how to leverage the power of online video and YouTube marketing to reach more people, share their message, and convert more customers. That's how I met James, as we had a lovely conversation several years ago. And in 2016, James made a massive shift to focus on a big gap missing in the marketplace, the mindset of entrepreneurs. So today he shows his clients how to work smarter, not harder, that through effective processes and systems that can give you back your time. Hello, the most important thing that we have and don't get back. So he believes launches can be fun and easy, not stressful and overwhelming, and helps his clients exponentially grow their business by helping them break through the internal mindsets that hold them back. So I am actually so happy to have you on the show, James. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Christy. I'm so excited. This is a long time coming, so I'm
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I remember what really struck about you several years ago when we talked is that you were saying, I'm kind of a closet Abraham person, like I'm really into mindset, but I really love law of attraction. And it's awesome because you said that since then you've come out of the closet and you really have brought that into your conversations on your amazing podcast. And so I just think it's fantastic because, it's like to truly have quantum success, to get into that field of where it's not just a linear step-by-step experience of success, but to get into the quantum field and have exponential growth, it's so great that you're incorporating that now externally as you did it internally.
Yes. And I will tell you that coming out and sharing that with people is, even though I'd been in business at the time for like 7 years, I'd put myself out there in hundreds of videos all over the place, so I'd have overcome all those things that we get all like hung up about. That was the scariest thing I'd ever done in business. Like to be able to share that with people and be like, hey, here's this slightly weird side to me when all you've been learning is this very left brain, tactical video, linear stuff. And you use the word quantum, and then I shared in my bio exponential. You're right. It's like it's the same thing, and so many people are using that linear strategy of like 10% growth year after year after year, and it's like that's boring. Like where is that quantum explosion? Yes. And it is. I believe it's all the inner work. And I've discovered like the first half of my journey was, which was the mistaken path, was how do I enhance? How do I make myself bigger, faster, stronger, better, smarter, quicker, whatever? And what I realized is that was all from presupposing that I wasn't good enough as it was, that I needed to do all these things to add on to me in order to be good enough or worthy enough for the results that I wanted. And today that has almost been completely flipped on its head, that it's much more about what do I need to let go that is not serving me? It is a shedding, it is a releasing, and it's a letting go. And the more I do that, the more I experience those quantum shifts in my life.
I love that. And it's so true. And I wish that everybody can get that, because I think most of us spend most of our, our time as kids, adolescents, even as adults. It's like, what can I do? What can I accomplish? How can I prove myself? How can I, just do? It's like, more. I need more degrees. I need more this. I need to make me okay. Yeah. And it's such an outside in approach. If I get that degree, if I make more money, if I find the guy, if I get the business, if I find the girl, whatever, then I'll be happy. And it's like our beingness is just happy and joyful. And it's like what you're saying, it's the releasing of, I need that to be happy, and just being happy.
Right. Or the releasing of anything that would prevent you from being happy at all, and just be happy.
Yeah. Or successful, or abundant, or opulent, or whatever it is you want to create in your life, whatever the reason is that what drives you anyways, or what your desires are fueling anyways. There's a reason we want what we want, right? And when you can just let all that other stuff go and just be in that, what I call the light, be in that light of that vibration, then it's like, things just pop in. It's like,
it is. And it is such a backwards approach. It is really not how we were taught and raised. So it very turns everything on its head. But, referring back to Abraham, just that word of contrast, it's kind of like there's two types of people. When you're going to experience contrast, which I love that word because to me, it feels very neutral.
Yes.
Very neutral word. It doesn't really feel charged in any way. Right. You're going to two types of people. You're going to experience contrast, and that one person is going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't have this, and I'm not there, and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to go into this whole tailspin of why they don't have and what it means to not have and what it means about others who do have that and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the other type of person that is going to see that as, oh, thank you for proof of what's possible. Thank you for sharing with me or showing me that is something that I want in my life.
Right.
And it's just two paths, two choices that we're constantly making, whether it's the type of career or the business we want to have, the goals we set for our life, or the health or the relationships. It's like that classic example of like the person who's sad because they just got dumped and they go out in a park and they see everyone around them is like with their boyfriend or girlfriend making out. And it's like, that person that goes, oh my gosh, why am I the only one alone? Or they can sit there and say, wow, like love is possible and it's all around me. It's a choice moment by moment. It
is. And it's totally perspective. And I always like to say it's coming either from lack or abundance. And if you're coming from lack, you're in that place of jealousy, poor me, victim mentality, or you're in the place of, wow, like you just said, that's possible. If that's possible for that person, it's possible for me. Let me be inspired by that person. Let me look for what the solutions are instead of what the problem is. And it's totally a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would love to get your take on, because as you know, I have a book, Quantum Success, coming out, and I want to be able to talk about some of the principles with experts in mindset like yourself. And I would love for you to talk about, how do you prioritize? How do you prioritize not only taking time so that you're connected with yourself and that you're coming from the place of knowing that you're in alignment, that your energy is being fueled so that whatever action you do take is coming from a space of alignment. Because in the book, I talk about alignment and then momentum. So what do you do to prioritize yourself to be able to create that alignment so you can take momentum?
Great. And I want to take a step back, because I think when we just go to the doing, it can feel for a lot of people as like a chore, or this like, all right, Christy, I'll do what you tell me to do. And, she told me I got to prioritize me, so I'm going to go do it. And what I really got and discovered for myself is there is a difference between this being a concept and two people on a video talking about this idea versus it being like in your DNA where you operate from. And I really, really got a while back how vital our thoughts are and our feelings and our internal state. That it wasn't just this thing that I feel things and I think things, but that it is literally the number one catalyst and factor for what I'm creating. Mm-hmm. And when I got I don't want to use this word, but like severity of it, but like the realness of it, it was like, especially if you're working for yourself, like if you're an entrepreneur, where you're like in charge of a team and your financial destiny, like it's like, there's no messing around. Right. This isn't like, you can't afford to have a bad day because you have a bad day.
Right.
And so I made that my priority. And as soon as I got how important that is, the doing became very easy. And long ago, when I was working with a spiritual mentor that really taught me all this, she gave me a really simple list of, she just gave me, told me to write down at least 30 things that I can do any day at any time in less than 30 seconds to just perpetuate my happiness. I still have that list, but I've whittled those down and they've changed. And so for me personally, it's surfing. Surfing is my number one thing. And I wish I could share something that's more universal to more people, but what it does is it combines everything to me. And I look at that. I'm a very efficient minded person. I want to do the least amount of work to get the most kind of result, because I don't want to spend a lot in the doing and the action anyways. So when I go surfing, I'm in nature. So I think nature is very healing. There's a lot of answers that can come to us in nature. And frankly, we're not spending enough time in it. So I'm in nature. And then yes, like the salt water and like everything's so good for you. But then there's the fact that it's very like, it's an exercise. It's a workout. So you're moving your body, and there's a lot of that. But then there's also a lot of stillness. There's a lot of waiting. So it's a lot of just like you're in a meditative state. And then you're in this almost this polar opposite state where you're like going down the face of a wave where you could die. Like there have literally been times, no joke, where I have feared for my life.
Wow.
But it forces you into that flow state, that super present. Time starts to slow down. Like I'll put GoPros on my board, and you watch the video later and you're like, that must have been like 30 seconds. And it was like 4,
Right.
The time just changes, and like
perception. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, that's just this ultimate experience for me that is so healing and regenerative. Regenerative, is that the right word? And I just love it. But I think everyone's got to find their own thing. And for my buddy, it's mountain climbing, and because it kind of does the same thing. So that is number one for me. And that makes it so easy. I'm looking at the ocean as we talk. It's right there. I could throw a rock and hit the water. I mean, so that's the other thing, is that like, once you get clear on what those things are, it's like, you got to make the game easy for you to win. You got to make it easy to do those things. So many times we make things so much harder. We put all these obstacles in the way and we complicate, and it can be so easy. Like if I'm not in the water every day, what am I doing? I'm doing something wrong. So
that's beautiful. I love it. So you have a story that you were going to share about how something you just let go of. It's an internal process that you had that you let go of, and your business just had this exponential growth. I would love for you to share that, James.
Yeah. And I've had a few of these. And so I knew it was time for another one. You can't have these quantum leaps in success every day, because you don't appreciate it, right? But I knew one was coming. And the result was, we did by far the biggest quarter financially we've ever done in the business. $1.7 million in revenue in 3 months. And I share that because I always like, people get weird around money, probably not your people, but like a lot of people do. And so I like to actually do that to just always kind of push people's minds of like what can be possible. And that was something that was still like not possible for me, but it was a quantum, an experience of quantum growth, because I feel like there was a 5% edge of what I did differently that produced such a difference. 5% difference. And what it really was at the end of the day, that allowed for this, is there was a layer of, back to what we were talking about before, of letting go of resistance that I really discovered that I still had. And I feel like, if I can describe it the best way I can, is that I eradicated all fear, worry, anger, and anxiety completely out of my experience in business. And like,
wow,
not like I'm like, oh, I'm just like, this enlightened being or anything, but like, I noticed where it was coming up, and I really got a different perspective, and just a new relationship with myself and the universe, and I just was like, I don't need to worry about this. And it showed up in even just like small ways. Like I used to have a really huge fear of flying, and I just stopped that fear. I'm literally on a plane, and it's taking off, and it's totally turbulent, and it's shaking, and I'm gripping the seats, and I'm starting to go into a whole freak out. And what I had been doing is reading a lot about the futility of worry, right? Like you never finish, like when you finish, your book promotion, your book launch, and it hits #1 and all this type of stuff, and it surpasses all of your goals. You're not going to look back at that and be like, I'm so glad I worried. It was because of that. It was because of that worry that got me here. And if you don't hit, right? But if you didn't hit your goals on some project, you're never going to sit there and say the opposite, which is like, darn it, I didn't worry enough. If only I would have worried a little bit more, then we would have gotten where we want to go. And so I really got more than just conceptually the futility of worry. And I truly believe that it is actually the only thing that's pushing away what we want. I really believe that it's actually pushing away what we want. And so as I'm sitting in this fuselage, this metal thing going up in the air, which used to just freak the crap out of me, going hundreds of miles an hour, I realized that no amount of worry would affect the outcome of what that plane is going to do.
Yeah.
But I did have a choice in that moment. Am I going to choose to suffer and put myself through this pain that doesn't feel good, or am I just going to enjoy the ride and whatever happens, happens? And when that happened, I literally just in a moment was like, still turbulent, still shaking. And there was no more fear. There was no more anxiety. And I've now taken this, that wasn't a one-time fluke. I've been on about 6 or 7 more flights since that happened. This was the summer of last year. Okay. So it's not even a year ago. And my wife and I used to take like anxiety pills and like hold our hands and they're covered in sweat. And we like say how much we love each other on the plane. Like, and we can't, this is totally true. And we couldn't travel alone. So like, without each other. And now it's just like, it's no big thing. And what I did is I took that experience, as I think everything has, meaning and metaphor. And I'm like, that is my life. I am still gripping for a sense of control, and control is an illusion. And the moment you try and think that you're in control, you are now controlled by the illusion of control, and you're effed, like you're screwed. And that's what I was trying to do. I was thinking that if I could freak out enough on the plane, that somehow the captain would pick up on that and he would like chill out on the turbulence. And that's what we're trying to do in our lives. And I got that. That's what I was still doing in my business. I was still trying to do that just in the totality of my life, and I dropped it. And
how did you drop it?
I don't know. I had that experience on the plane of choosing not to worry, and also getting that what I believe is that worry is going to push away what we want. And so I just chose happiness first. I chose to be happy. And when I see a negative thought in my mind, I can recognize it as separate, and I say, that's not happy, and that's just a thought. And I, what would you say? Just kind of like put that to the side. I disregard the thought, and I choose happy. And that's pretty much the biggest thing that I've been doing. But I did a lot of introspection. I looked at that and I said, where is there still fear? If there's a fear of flying, it's, the fear that you're going to fall and, die. And that was scary. But like, where would there be fear in the business? And for me, there was a fear that it wasn't going to last, that it was just like a plane going to come crashing down. And I think that's real for all business owners, that we have a fear, like, even if we're successful, like, is this going to last? I don't know. Is this my last good month? And that was still present for me. And, I've been in business now 10 years, been fortunate enough to help a lot of people, make a lot of money, do a lot of really cool things. And I just asked myself, I said, why am I still doing this? What really is getting me out of bed every day? And this isn't some like, motivational, like find your why thing, but which is great. But I just asked myself, and I realized for me that I am totally addicted to the transformations that I can have with one of my students. And if I can change their quality of life, even like 1%, it's like, that's addicting. It really is. And it's a drug that doesn't lose its high. And I said, you know what? Just like this plane could crash and I could die, it's a little morbid, I get it, but my business could crash and it could die, but no one's going to take that away from me. You'd have to put me behind bars or put me out of my misery to take that away from me. And I don't really think those things are going to happen. So what the hell am I really afraid of? What am I concerned about? Because you can't stop that. And that was it. And I went into the last quarter of last year with a new level of unstoppableness. I would say fearlessness, because there was you know, like not a feeling of fear, but it's like, I really prefer courage and courageousness over fearlessness, because, you know, courage is, there's that fear and it's like, F it, I'm going to do it anyways. And I played full out. I started to notice all the little voices in your head that are like, well, don't promote too hard because they might say this. And, oh, what if they don't like you over here and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my goodness, how much is this just boxing us all in all day, every single day?
Right.
And I just started dismissing those and putting those aside. And,
well, I wanted to share something with you. First of all,
yeah.
I had that happen to me a couple of years ago. I was getting a massage. I get a massage every Saturday. It's kind of like my time to, you know, for myself. And I'm laying there in this amazing massage, and all of a sudden I get this like feeling, this overwhelming panic attack and total anxiety. And I'm like, what is this about? And knowing what I know, right? I'm like, okay, what is this? Where is this energy coming from? And I knew that this feeling was, there's something underneath it. So there was a fear there. And I just was talking to my emotions. Like, what is this fear? What are you trying to communicate to me? And it just came into like, it's about lack. I mean, whenever there's fear, there's doubt, it's always rooted in some kind of lack. Mm-hmm. So I know that from what I teach about abundance and lack. So I went, okay, what's the lack? And I heard this voice come up and say, you've done it. Like you've wasted it all. Like that's it. Like you're done. Like that's it. You used it. Here's what it said. You used it all up. And I was like, used all what up? It's like your success. Because I had all this exponential success, and you know, and it's like, you're done because that's it. There's a cap on it.
Yep.
And being able to, in that moment when the energy is like firing like that, I was able to say, no, I don't have a pie and that my pie is all eaten up and now there's no more. This is an unlimited universe. I can make my own pies. I can make as many pies as I want to. There isn't just one pie for the rest of my life. And I got into that feeling sense of abundance. And like you said, you made a choice. You decided not to feed into that fear, but you decided to feed into what was going to empower you and make you happy instead. And that's exactly what I did. Is I felt that feeling of expansion. I felt that feeling of possibilities, you know, all that. And it's amazing though, that when you don't pay attention to this, you know, what will continue to attract. But if you just take the time to pay attention to that, you can shift it, and it's a totally different trajectory of where you experience and what you will continue to create.
I love this. And from what I'm hearing, how I'm interpreting is that it's almost like this gas gauge where you set at one level when you're setting goals and your original visions and intention, like here's the full gas, you know, here I am. And like, here's where I'm going to go. All of a sudden you get there, and it's like along the way, somehow with all of your like, yes, this is possible, we're going to do this. Like we start to tell ourselves that is the top, that's the ceiling. And it's like, well, maybe at that time it is. And now it's time for a new ceiling. And so really this work is a discipline. It's like, do you go to the gym once and do a great workout and be like, I'm fit for life? Like this is a spiritual.
I wish.
I do too. But it is, it's like, it's okay that this is the next chapter. And now it's like, let's hit reset and like, what else is possible?
Absolutely.
And, yeah, that's really great.
Absolutely. What else is possible? That's such a great question. I mean, just even in the possibility of living an amazing life and feeling good, it's like that question, just what else is possible? You know, what else do you, universe, have for me to be surprised and delighted with?
And it's crazy because it's the greatest question ever. And then the moment we answer it, we're immediately like limiting. Like in order to answer the question, you have to cut off possibility to some extent, which is like amazing and limiting at the same time. But it's like, okay, and then what else? And it's just this constant unfolding and pushing that boundary. And it's the boundary self-imposed.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So James, I just want to squeeze your face. You're just so darn adorable. Like, I just love you.
Thank you.
And I'm so appreciative of our time together. So I want to make sure that everybody gets the invitation to go and listen to your podcast, because it's amazing. So we're going to put a link to your podcast underneath, and your website underneath the video. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? Any last words before we go?
No, just that every week I talk about the inner game, the mindset, the spiritual, mental, emotional game for entrepreneurs over on the Mind Your Business podcast. So if you want to keep chatting, come have a listen over there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And to you, my family, please let us know what you're taking away from this. I mean, just one thing that you could be taking away and implementing and shifting in your own life can just totally change everything for you, and changes the energy that you shift. And look at James. I mean, he didn't go and climb a mountain. He just shifted some energy, and it completely opened up his life for everything. So, in his business. So make those little changes and you will see miraculous things happen. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're taking away. Let's continue the conversation. And I wish you all an amazing week. Thanks so much, James.
Take care.
Thanks for watching, and here is a related video to watch right now. Also, check out my free webinars on creating whatever you want in your life using the universal laws that I explain in each webinar. So share your thoughts by leaving a comment and continue the conversation at ChristyWhitman.com.